Hello everyone, and welcome back to the Grandmaster Chess Speedrun, where we are playing Principal Chess with the end goal of beating a Chess Grandmaster. We're playing up against a 1900 with the black pieces. They've started with e4, we're going e5, getting that symmetry in. They're attacking our pawn, let's defend it with the knight. So I've been trying to go this whole speedrun without having to really invest in any particular opening theory, mostly just focusing on trying to develop the pieces as quickly as possible, control the center with a pawn, get the knights out, and that's what we're going to continue doing until it stops working, really. So they've decided to play the Halloween Gambit with knight takes on e5. This is a pretty aggressive opening, to be honest, but obviously we have to start with capturing it, and they're going to attack our knight in the center with the pawn. And I think quite an underrated way of meeting this opening is actually just to go for bishop to b5 and continue developing, because bishop to b5 makes an immediate threat on the e4 pawn, and we can give back the material on the e5 square without having to worry too much about their opening preparation. So I'm going to go for bishop to b5 here, pressuring on the knight and looking to capture this pawn in the center and say, you know what, you want to gambit on me, I'm just going to give it right back and get a nice position. So I'm a big fan of this. Let's take the bishop to gain the bishop pair, and then we're simply going to castle the king, and we are out of the opening with no problems whatsoever, and probably even a small advantage. Okay, so now it's worth considering, is it a good idea to capture? Because, well, we have the bishop pair for now, but if they take with the queen, if they take with the pawn, it's terrible because their pawn structure gets ruined. But if they take with the queen, can we start trying to put pressure on this pawn immediately? That's the question you need to ask. So if we go rook to e8, and they play bishop to e2, trying to castle because the pawn's already guarded, and then we go queen e7, if they play f4, we can strike with something like d6, and I think we win a pawn. I think their e-pawn is won by force. So now we have to consider, what if they go long? So takes, queen e7, long castles, we attack it with the rook, and then they bring a rook to the d file, we play d6, they go f4. Maybe we don't get to win the pawn by force in that situation. Still not a bad position, but I don't think it's that impressive. So I think we should probably just go for bishop to a5, maintaining our bishop, exploiting this pin here, and look to put more pressure on this pawn. So they've decided to kick us off the diagonal completely. Now our bishop is pressuring this f2 pawn. And I think, yeah, queen e7 makes a lot of sense here, trying to attack this pawn in the middle. Let's go for that, absolutely. So queen e7, attacking the pawn. f4 is a concession. And sorry there, I just got interrupted by their move, which they played very, very quickly. But that looks like a huge blunder to me. The queen can just take the pawn and attack the rook in the corner. So queen takes pawn in the center, and 1900s are still dropping like flies out of the opening. I'm quite surprised by this. And they're still blitzing out their moves with a bit of a strange confidence. But let's just bring the rook into the center. I mean, this game is already over. They're going to have to, yeah, either move the king. We can play d4 here. I don't actually, I think queen e5 is probably quite strong because we prevent them from castling the king. Because if they castle, then we can just capture this bishop on e2. And then we're going to just finish off our development with d5 and bishop to g4. Now, look at you. The Halloween player has managed to successfully lose material, but it turns out that it wasn't any good at this point because they have no more attack. So let's take a look at the analysis. I think that was quite a nice way of neutralizing the Halloween player, and I'll be back with you in a few seconds. Okay, quick editor's note here. It turns out that my opponent literally got banned for fair play while I was editing this video, so I really don't know what was going on here. I guess maybe I got lucky and I was playing them in one of the games where they weren't cheating, so we got to see their real skill level, so pretty weird stuff going on there. I mean, looks like rapid chess at the moment on chess.com is pretty rampant with cheaters, so I guess the only real piece of advice I have for you guys is just check the account age before you start the game. because this account was only 10 days old, so it's quite likely there's something fishy going on. But I'm not going to dwell on the ban of my opponent any longer, and let's take a look at the analysis. Okay, so we played that one at an 81% accuracy. Turns out that the engine is not particularly impressed with us giving back material after the sacrifice with this bishop to b4 move. In fact, we actually would have ended up in quite a bit of trouble if they'd gone queen g4, which I was not aware of. I guess on knight takes... then they have queen takes the bishop. Wow, okay. That would have been not very good for us. The knight would have had to go back. Queen g4. Can't castle because bishop h6. Actually, this position's terrible. Okay, so I didn't quite think that through properly, given that queen g4 is an issue. I mean, another way to play that I've recommended in the past is pawn d6. I think this way of playing against the Halloween's quite nice. You just get the king going here, pawn c6, king c7, and all that stuff. So don't replicate what I did, because it's not sound. But it did work out this time, because the Halloween player obviously isn't prepared for it. Some other alternatives, knight c6 I think is quite a good way to play against this. Because they go for d5, then you can go, bishop to b4, and you just give back the knight like this. And knight e4 is now not so bad, because after here you can castle and bishop to h6. I guess takes queen f6. Yeah, attacks the bishop, pressures here, and this is going. So this is another way that you can try and play against it. I think knight c6 in the future, knight c6 is definitely the easiest way to go. You just give back the knight like here and continue developing, so keep that in mind for the future. But this way, it did look like a nice aggressive system to play, but it turns out that it was no good. Although they got nervous about this pin and played bishop to d2, and we were able to trade off, get a nice castle here, and maintain the bishop. Engine slightly prefers this way of playing, but this does look like a fair amount of equality. I guess it looks kind of difficult actually with something like this, but maybe white's okay. But anyway, we maintained the bishop on the board, dropped it back, literally just attacked a pawn, and they immediately blundered, which is, a little bit strange, but we capture the pawn in the center, take the rook, and from there on out, it's just clean up, and they decided to resign. So I don't know what to say. I keep winning short games. It's not my fault. I wish we could get some longer games, which have got some more positional play, but really this just goes to show that tactics, almost all that matters at this level of the game, especially if you're going to play in this principled style, playing in the center, playing aggressively. You're going to get a lot of quick wins just like this. So if you did enjoy my style of teaching and be interested in some one-to-one coaching, then please do send me an email. The link will be in the description. And other than that, if you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye.